students, we have 4 skills for law students, and as per normal, we just want you to, for now, put your student numbers into the chat function. Before I start, are there any questions on the work I've done already so that I can address it quickly? Any questions for me? Okay, if there are no questions, my last question, are there any new students? Any new students? Let me just see here. Stefan de Blanche, are you new?
Uh, yes, I am.
Stefan, okay. Stefan, you may switch off your mic. Mazeng, are you new? Fagma Jordan, are you new? Just indicate yes or no in the chat function. Ben, are you new? Is this Mr. Tikana, are you new? Aljoon van den Berg, are you new? Nadia Koopman, are you new? Chadley Naidu, are you new? Cyrily Rust, are you new? Okay, just indicate who is new so that I can have an idea. Okay. Siputolo is new. Jesslyn is new. Ben is new. Aljoon is new. Nadia is new. Sarah Leah is new. Chadley is new. Stephanie is new. And Siam Tanda is new. Okay, welcome to all of you. The people who are new or those who were here last week, are there any questions for me? Are there any questions before I start? Any questions before I start? No questions. So if there's no questions, I'd like us to go to the following page in the reader. I hope all of you have your notepads and pens so that you can take notes. Remember, I said last week we are going to start with a little test. I need to figure out how I'm going to give that to you, but before I start with learning unit 4, I want us to pause on the following quickly. Okay. Remember, we need to do a little test on Latin terms. Latin term starts at page 52 of the reader, and it stops at page 55. Okay. I'm going to figure out now how I'm going to do that test with you. But before I start, our first discussion needs to be on the hierarchy of courts. Okay, so is anyone able, before I start, just to give me a short breakdown of the courts in South Africa? Anyone? Is anyone able to give me a breakdown of the courts in South Africa? If you are able to, just put up your hand or give me a note in the text. Okay. Anyone? Anyone?
Advocate Stefan, yeah?
Okay, Stefan.
So from high to low, it's a constitutional court, Supreme Court of Appeal, the High Courts, and then the Magistrates Courts.
Stefan, that's not what I want. You're telling me how the courts are. I want the hierarchy of courts. Are you able to give me the hierarchy of courts? Okay. Answer to Paris. Paris, what I'm doing tonight, this that I'm starting off with is not in the study guide. That's why I need you to take some notes. Okay. Stefan, can you start over? Explain the hierarchy of courts to me. Are you able to do so? Stefan?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Tell me what you understand in how our courts function in terms of the hierarchy.
Okay, so what I think you're looking for is which courts are bound by which court's decision. Is that what you're looking for?
That's part of it. That's part of it. That's part of it. Okay. Switch off your mic and then you guys listen to me for a while and then we take it from there. Okay. Now, students, okay. You guys need to take notes now, eh? So I can, but I have to type it out. Who's that Paris? Paris, what is it you are trying to say? Okay, guys, what I'm doing now, the first discussion I'm doing now is not in your study guide. You have to take your own notes and then you have to supplement those notes, okay? So, students, our hierarchy of courts are divided in how many parts? Paris? Our hierarchy of courts are divided into how many parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 parts? Anybody? In terms of how our courts operate, their hierarchy, in how many parts are they divided? Paris is saying 4. Okay, and then I have been saying the Constitutional Court, Provincial and Magistrates Court. Ben, there's nothing like a provincial court. Okay. Paris, make up your mind. Is it 4 or 6? Nadia, why are you saying 6? Nadia, if you're able to speak to me, you can unmute your mic. Why are you saying 6? Come, people, I need you to be also interactive. Eh? You guys are supposed to be used to me now. So, who's that laughing at me? You can give me an answer. The Blanche is saying 5. The Blanche, why are you saying 5? Okay. Today I want to discuss with people. I need to know why you say what you're saying.
I'm hoping I'm right, yes. So again,
okay, is this? Was this Stefan?
Sorry, Stefan, yes.
Stefan, can you switch on your camera? I'd like to see who you are.
It might be a little dark in here.
Okay, I see you, Stefan. Welcome.
Aye. Okay, so I've got the Constitutional Court, Supreme Court of Appeal, the High Courts, the Magistrate Courts, and any other court established and recognized in terms of an act of Parliament.
Okay, Stefan, there you giving me examples. Okay, you're giving me examples. Okay, park that. We're going to come to that. Let me go find another volunteer. Stefan, you can switch off your mic. Perez, 6-2 account, regional and district courts fall under Magistrates Court Division. Is there anyone else? Denzel, why are you saying 5?
I had the same answer like Stefan in terms of the hierarchy of the courts in where each court takes precedent over each other. So, like Stefan says, from the bottom up.
Okay, I want you guys to check the chat function. The winner of the prize tonight is Michelle Forbes. Michelle, very good. You were saying higher and lower courts. I'm going to give you the proper I'm going to give you the proper pronunciation of it or the proper terms of it. So students, in terms of our hierarchy of courts, they are divided into 2 only. Okay? So in terms of our hierarchy of courts, we have 2. With the highest, the first one on top being superior courts, and the second one being our lower courts. Okay? So our hierarchy is divided into 2. Firstly, with superior courts right on the top, and at the bottom we have our lower courts. Okay? Now, I want us to go to our lower courts first. So, before I start with the discussion on lower courts, I want someone to tell me or explain to me what the term jurisdiction means. What does it mean when I speak of jurisdiction, students? Anyone? What does it mean when I speak of jurisdiction? Who's that, Ben?
Yeah, is my mic is working now? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you, Ben.
Without looking it up or anything, just based on what I know, it is power. Like if you have jurisdiction over an area, it means that whatever rule you pass, then you can have it power over that area, like over that jurisdiction. So you have control, you have the power to give right or wrong in that jurisdiction. Where, for example, if Cyril passes a law here in South Africa or issues level 3 in South Africa, he has that jurisdiction here, but he couldn't say also in the neighboring countries, we let us go to level 1 or something. So he has jurisdiction over or ability to influence this area.
Okay, Ben, I want us. Ben, switch off your mic. Okay. I want us. Can all of you hear me? Thank you, Ben. I want us to go to the chat function, look in the chat function, and I want us to look at the answer of Perez Pillay. Okay. And he says it's the competence of a court to hear a case. Okay. Perez, very good answer. Jurisdiction refers to the power or the competence a court has to adjudicate or to hear a matter. Okay, Perez, very good answer. Perez, tell me in which area do you stay? Denzel, let me see what Denzel says. The place area where the matter is heard. You talking about fact there, Denzel. We're going to go into that a bit further in another module, but here you are referring to factors which influence jurisdiction. Okay? So basically, Perez, where in Cape Town are you? Basically, okay, Perez, you're going to communicate to me via email. The two of us are going, you can come to my office one day. I'm in the CBD and we can have a chat. Okay? I'm very impressed with you and I'd like to chat to you. Okay? So, students, jurisdiction is the power or the competence a court has to adjudicate a matter. And we are now firstly going to explore or look at the jurisdiction or power of our lower courts. Okay? Now, our lower courts are known as magistrates' courts. Okay, I hope you're taking notes. Our lower courts are referred to or are known as magistrates' courts, and the presiding officers in those courts, meaning the presiding officers who preside over the matters and adjudicate the matters, are referred to as magistrates. Okay? Magistrates are appointed on recommendation by the Magistrates Commission, and recommendations by the Magistrates Commission for appointment of magistrates are made to the Minister of Justice, meaning each magistrate in our country which is appointed by the Minister of Justice on recommendation from the Magistrates Commission. So our lower courts are known as magistrates courts, and we deal with two types of magistrates courts. We deal with district magistrates courts as well as regional magistrates courts. Okay? District courts as well as regional courts. Okay? Now, students, we are going to look at the jurisdiction of our magistrates courts first. Okay? Now, firstly, a magistrate's court is regarded or referred to as a creature of statute. Okay? It's referred to as a creature of statute, meaning that these courts, their function is to only apply the law. Okay? So magistrates' courts are creatures of statute and they must only apply the law. Okay? Now, we are first going to look at the jurisdiction of a district magistrates court. Now, a district magistrate's court has civil as well as criminal jurisdiction. Okay? Civil as well as criminal jurisdiction. So, a magistrate's court deals with, a criminal magistrate's court deals with petty. I'm not going to say petty. I'm going to say less serious criminal matters. So when we speak of the criminal jurisdiction of a district magistrate's court, okay, the district magistrate's court deals with less serious criminal matters. Okay, and these are the type of matters where the court has the jurisdiction to punish, okay, or to sentence an offender for a maximum of 3 years. Okay, a maximum of 3 years or a fine of up to 100,000 rand. Okay, a maximum of 3 years or a fine up to 100,000 rand. Okay, now when I speak of a less serious crime, I'm referring to a crime such as drinking and driving, or driving under the influence of alcohol, reckless and negligent driving, as well as common assault. Okay, that is the criminal jurisdiction of a district court. Now, what you should also know about the criminal jurisdiction of a magistrate's court, students, is that the district court is the court of first instance. Okay, the district magistrate's court is the court of first instance. And when I speak of court of first instance, it is the court where you have your first appearance. Okay, so the district magistrate's court is the court of first instance for all criminal appearances. The first appearances in all criminal matters. Remember, the first appearance in a criminal matter is normally a bail application. So your district magistrate's court is the court of first instance for all criminal appearances. Okay. Then, if you look at the civil jurisdiction of a magistrate's court, it means that the court in civil matters, a civil matter is a dispute between two private parties. So in terms of the civil jurisdiction of a magistrate's court, a magistrate's court can hear civil claims not exceeding 200,000 rand. So any quantum not exceeding 200 rand can be heard by a district civil court. Okay. So, any questions? Any questions so far? You see the chat function. Okay, Nadia says she remembers this from ILW, and I also touched on this in last night's lesson. Yes, I did. Okay. Any questions for me? Now, if we look at the Stefan, that's correct. Okay. Civil suit up to 200,000 rand, and it can impose in criminal matters a direct prison sentence of up to 3 years or a fine of 100,000 rand. Okay. Now, district courts cannot preside over criminal matters such as rape, murder, or treason, okay, because those are more serious crimes. And if we look at the regional court's jurisdiction, okay, a regional court can preside over civil disputes not exceeding 400,000 rand. Okay, and regional courts has the jurisdiction to preside over certain status matters. And an example of the status matter a regional court can preside over, Denzel, you must switch off your mic. Okay, thank you, Denzel. Okay, an example of the status matter a regional court can preside over are divorces. Okay, so your regional court can preside over a divorce and matters ancillary to that. So when I speak of a divorce and matters ancillary to that, it means the court has the jurisdiction to grant a divorce order as well as an order relating to maintenance and division of the joint estate. Okay. And regional courts, in terms of the criminal jurisdiction, they are able to preside over the more serious crime matters, such as rape and murder, assault with the intent to do grievous bodily harm. In short, we refer to it as assault GBH. Okay, and these courts can impose fines, criminal fines of up to 600,000 rand and impose a prison sentence of up to 15 years. Okay, that is the criminal jurisdiction of a magistrate's court. Now, on your own, you have to go read up on the following courts for me, how they operate. They also fall within the category of our lower courts. Okay, you must go read up on small claims courts. Okay, maintenance courts, children's courts, family courts, and our child justice courts. Okay, I want you to read up on that. Okay. So our superior courts, students, okay, our superior courts are courts which have inherent jurisdiction, okay? And inherent jurisdiction is a power which is derived from the common law, okay? And as part of this inherent jurisdiction, the court has the power to control its own processes. Okay, so our superior courts, what makes them different from our lower courts is that our superior courts have a power which one calls inherent jurisdiction. Okay? Now, our superior courts, okay, I'm going to start with our Supreme Court of Appeal. Okay, now our Supreme Court of Appeal, which is seated in Bloemfontein, okay, this is the highest decision-making court in civil and criminal appeals. Okay, our Supreme Court of Appeal, or known as the Appellate Court or the Appellate Division, okay, is the highest decision-making court with regard to criminal and civil appeals. Okay. Then our apex court, students, our highest court in the land is known as the Constitutional Court. And firstly, our Constitutional Court hears or adjudicates appeals that relate to the Constitution only in many instances after a judgment has been handed down in another court, meaning a high court or the Supreme Court of Appeal. Okay? No other court can overturn a ruling made by the Constitutional Court. Okay? Now, question. Can the Constitutional Court be a court of first instance, students? Okay, I want you to type it in the chat function or raise your hands. Can the Constitutional Court be a court of first instance? Is there direct access to the Constitutional Court? Yes or no? Paris says yes, it may. Okay, the only court that cannot be a court of first instance is the Supreme Court of Appeal. Paris, very good statement. Okay, an appeal court can never be a court of first instance. Okay, so let's quickly look at the Constitutional Court. Okay, I'm going to take a few minutes to look at the Constitutional Court. Denzel, do you have a comment or a question?
No, sorry.
Tens. Okay. If there's no comments or questions, I'm going to continue. So we know that the Constitutional Court is the highest decision-making court in constitutional matters only. Okay? So students, you must be careful when you say or when you write or when you make a statement that the Constitutional Court is the highest decision-making court. It is only the highest decision-making court on constitutional matters. Okay? And be mindful that our appellate division, okay, our appellate court is the highest decision-making court in criminal and civil appeals. Okay? So, the Constitutional Court is seated at Constitutional Hill, and it has 11 judges. Okay? This court only makes decisions about issues that have to do with the Constitution. I've said that before. Okay? And normal appeal matters have to be heard by the SCA. Any questions? Any questions? And my question was, can one have direct access to the Constitutional Court? Okay, and some of you are saying the following. Stefan is saying yes. Perez is saying the only court that can, okay, I've said that already. Kano is saying yes. Denzel is saying yes. Michelle say, so you cannot directly go to the Constitutional Court. Michelle, okay, we have to differ with you. In certain instances, direct access to the Constitutional Court is possible. Okay? So, in order to bring a direct application to the Constitutional Court, okay, the applicant has to apply, okay, and this has to be because of a matter of urgency, okay, so the applicant has to apply and it has to be because of a matter of urgency, okay. The court, however, and this is where its inherent jurisdiction comes in, okay? The court has the discretion whether or not to hear a matter. An exception is when an act has already been declared invalid and the court is required to confirm the finding, okay? So the court has the discretion whether it wants to entertain an application for direct access. So direct access is possible to the Constitutional Court, and Denzel, you are right, the matter must relate to a constitutional issue. Okay? Is there a question? Koliswa, you have a question for me?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay, then you may switch off your mic.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So, in terms of our superior courts students, our constitutional court is the highest court and the first example of a superior court. Okay. Our second example of a superior court is the Supreme Court of Appeal or the Appellate Division. Okay. Then the Koliswa, okay, someone's mic is on. Whose mic is on? Sorry, Koliswa, I thought it was you. But the person whose mic is on, just switch it off for me, please. Okay. So, and our second example of a superior court is the SCA or the Appellate Division. Okay. And our third example of superior courts are our high courts in the various divisions. Okay, so question to you, you go find out for me how many high courts we have in South Africa, and then also the specialized high courts we have in South Africa. Okay, any questions? So all of our high courts have inherent jurisdiction, and as part of inherent jurisdiction is that they have the power to interpret or make findings on constitutional issues. They also have the power to declare laws invalid, which are in conflict or in direct violation of the Constitution. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. If there's no questions, I'd like to, let me just see what the chat says. Okay, I'm getting some answers already. Okay. Getting some answers. People are saying there are 13 high courts. We will go through the answers next week. Okay. Students, now I want us to go. There's no questions. I want us to go to page 52, 53, 54, and 55. Okay. Now, this for me, okay, other academics, I'm sure will agree with me. But one of the biggest disadvantages of the current LLB is that it does not have Latin as a subject. Okay, so we know that many of the terminology in law is in Latin many of our legal principles are in Latin, and we must have an understanding of Latin terms in order to interpret the law. Okay? So, what I'm going to suggest now is the following. Okay? I am going to do a quick test. Okay? I'm going to give you 3 Latin terms, and you need to give me the English meaning, and I'm going to give you 3 English terms, and you need to give me the Latin meaning. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in the chat function, I'm going to type the 3 Latin terms and you give me the meaning. I need honesty from you. So I need you now to close your readers and just concentrate on your device in front of you, where you look for my first 3 Latin terms, where you have to give the English meaning to. Okay, I'm going to trust in your honesty. And if you don't know the answer, you put a note next to it. Okay, so I'm going to type in the 3 Latin terms now, and you just give me the English meaning. Okay, this is the first one, the second one, and the third one. I'm giving you 2 minutes to give me the answers. Okay, all you do is you type in, if you know the answer, don't go look, you type in the answer. Thank you, Michelle. Hey, where's the rest of you? I don't want you to go look. I've got 3 answers so far. Where's the rest of you? Okay, Fahma, a space hope. Very good. Nadia. No, Ben, you can't guess. You either know your work or you don't. Okay. 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 So the first Latin term is animus. Okay. And animus, if you translate it, it means the intention. Okay. But you have to use that Latin term in context, and it's mostly used in a private law sense, especially in the law of contract. Okay, so parties must have animus, they must have the intention to contract. Okay, the next Latin term is culpa. Okay, and culpa is the Latin term for fault, neglect, or negligence. So if you act with culpa, you are at fault, okay, or you are regarded to be as negligent. Okay. And a spy in law is referred to as a hope. Okay. And a hope can be classified as a personal right. Okay. A right to performance. Okay. Okay. So a spy is not an expectation, it's a hope. And now I'm going to give you 3 English terms, and I want the Latin translation for that, please. I'm going to give you 3 English terms, and I want the Latin translation for it. Sorry, I must give you, sorry, I need to not give you the Latin term, I need to give you the English term. Okay, so I'm going to give you the English term and then you give me the Latin translation. So here's the first one. Number 2 is good models. And number 3 is below. Okay, from idyllic, good models, and below. Okay, most of you got the first one right. It's ex delicto. Number 2, boni mores. What is the third one? The third one is below. Okay, infra. So I'm hoping none of you looked in the books. Okay, for the answers. I'm trusting none of you looked in the book for the answers. Okay, I need you to familiarize yourself or to know, especially in this course reader, all of the Latin terms, because those are bonus marks in the exams, people. Okay, you need to know all of the Latin terms because those are bonus marks in the exams. Any questions before I continue? Any questions before I continue? Okay, just give me a few seconds. I'm just switching on some lights. Okay, if there's no questions, I want us to go to learning unit 4, which is on page 57. Learning unit 4 on page 57, and then I'm going to start with a discussion on communication and litigation skills. Okay. Now, we are going to look firstly at the two types of communication skills, and they are known as firstly verbal communication and secondly non-verbal communication. Okay, now firstly, communication is about you giving information, and secondly, you receiving information and what happens to that. Okay, and what happens to that. So the first type of communication I want us to look at is non-verbal communication. Now, non-verbal communication, if I give it to you shortly, is that kind of communication which takes place without you opening your mouth. Okay? So, without you opening your mouth, okay, you exude or you give a certain message. Okay? So, I'm going to make an example now. Okay? Now, it's going to be a bit difficult for me because I'm not in a class setting. Okay? In a class setting, I would have explained this better and it would have been a bit fun and you guys would have laughed at each other. Okay? But now I want you to imagine the following. Okay? Imagine the following. You are the client. Okay? And you have been charged for murder. Okay? You are the client and you have been charged for murder. So you should know that the minimum sentence for murder is 15 years. So there's a good possibility that you are going to spend 15 years in Paulsmoor prison. Okay? So you are, you are attending your first consultation with your lawyer. Okay? And now I want us to concentrate on non-verbal communication first. Remember, this is the message that is given to you from your lawyer before he or she even opens their mouth. Okay? So, on the one hand, remember you're sitting in the waiting room now and you're waiting on the lawyer to come fetch you, to take you to his or her office so your case can be discussed. Are all of you with me? Are all of you with me? Okay, yes, Stephanie. The issues such as body language, eye contact, facial expression, clothing, those are the things I want you to look at, and those are the things I want you to give answers to. So The first lawyer that comes to the foyer or to the waiting room to meet you is Owen Kleinans. Okay? Owen Kleinans is built athletically, slender to well built. He's 1.8 meters tall, and he wears a black slim cut suit with a white shirt, a black tie, as well as neatly polished black shoes. Okay? And he walks with confidence. He has somewhat of a smile on his face when he approaches you. As he puts out his hand to you, you can see that his nails are neatly manicured, nice and short, and on his one wrist, he has a watch, no other jewelry on his hands, and that's the first meeting. Okay. The second person, okay, and Owen has short, neat black hair. Okay, and he wears black framed spectacles. The next person who comes to greet you is also a lawyer. You can call him Stephen. Okay, Stephen is also about 1.75 meters tall, but Stephen weighs about 90 kilograms. Okay, Stephen wears a chino pants with a white pair of khakis and a blue pullover. Stephen's hair is oily, his hands are sweaty, and his nails are long. Okay, I've given you two scenarios now. Okay, now the only factors I want you to consider, okay, the only factors I want you to consider are, and Stephen walks very slouchy, okay? So the only factors I want you to consider are the clothes, the way they walked, the way they greeted you, facial expressions, tone of voice, okay? So in a face-to-face setting, I would have explained it better, so you guys need to bear with me. So tell me, which lawyer would you feel more comfortable with, and what will be your reasons for it? You can either unmute your mics or you can type it into the chat function for me. Okay, who's gonna go first? I want at least 4 responses. I want at least 4 responses.
Well, Stefan's not going to go for Stephen. He's going to go for the first lawyer because he's more shown more confidence than Stephen did.
Is it only confidence you looked at?
Confidence, body language is much better. His clothes are better. He looks after himself, and he creates trust with the client or success. if I can put it that way.
Very good answer, Stephen. Okay. Those are things I'm looking for. Okay. Looking for trust, creating confidence. Okay. Very good answer, Stephen. Stephen, sorry that I used your name. I didn't even realize. Okay. I'm sure
That's
you
okay.
won't turn you you won't turn out like the one in the example I made. Are there any other comments? Let me see the chat function. Okay, I'm going to start with Nadia says the first one because he showed more confidence in the way he walked. Very good answer, Nadia. Fahma, the first lawyer because he's more professional and his appearance shows it. Very good answer, Fahma. There's Tristan. The first man, he was presentable and confident. Good answer, Tristan. Nadia says he looked well groomed, basically, more approachable than the second. Okay, good answer. You all are giving good answers. Let me just read two more. Ben says the first lawyer seems more professional, no techies. Very good answer, Ben. Jesslyn, professional, confident, and dress code up to standard, presentable, so it will be Owen. Perez, number two could also be an option. A person with glasses also alludes to intelligence and can be trusted. Okay, Perez, are you referring to Stephen? Brian, the second lawyer, is a nerd. Brian, are you saying I'm a nerd? Okay. Okay. So basically, you are getting what I'm trying to say to you in terms of non-verbal communication. Okay. That is the communication that is presented without someone opening their mouth. Okay. Now, I want to read the following introduction to you. I want you to go to page 58, paragraph 4.2.1. Denzel, we don't have time for jokes now. Eh? If we went in class, we would have had a nice laugh now. Okay. And how do you know I have a daughter? Let's go to paragraph 4.2.1. Yeah? And it tells us here, traditionally, people communicate with each other through the spoken words or sounds or written words that have specific meanings. Okay? This way of communicating is known as verbal communication. Okay, so we know what verbal communication is. Now, very, very importantly, however, it is also possible to send messages to our fellow users without saying or writing any words. For instance, here you can start highlighting. It tells us the following. For instance, your attitude, your face, your clothes, okay, may also send out their own messages. This language you speak without words is called non-verbal communication. Okay, so non-verbal communication is therefore a way of communication without words. Now, from there, we jump over to paragraph 4.2.2. And why is this so important for a lawyer? Okay, now you're going to see why non-verbal communication is so important for a lawyer student. So the importance of non-verbal communication to a lawyer's world, okay, lies in the fact that legal practice, okay, very, very importantly, students, and here you must underline or highlight, okay, our work or legal practice is based on persuasion and credibility, okay, and credibility comes with reputation, okay, so our work is based on persuasion and credibility. By way of an example, you have to persuade your client. So listen to the students. You have to persuade your client somehow that you can win the case. Or you have to persuade the presiding officer, that is the magistrate or the judge, to accept your line of argument. Therefore, non-verbal communication plays a very important role in this regard. In this respect, okay, it is often said that non-verbal communication can make or break a lawyer. You should use non-verbal communication to give credibility. Listen to this. You should use non-verbal communication to give credibility to your appearance in court while arguing a matter. In other words, your body language, attitude, clothes, and so on can help you on your route to success, or it can be the reason for your failure as a lawyer. Now look at the following statistics. Research has shown that 35% of your message is communicated verbally. Okay, only 35%, while 65% of the message is transmitted through nonverbal communication. Okay. Now, look at this very, very important line here. Verbal communication usually transfers information or facts. Okay, so when we speak or when we write, we transfer information or facts, whilst non-verbal communication transfers feelings, emotions, and attitude. Okay, isn't that interesting, students? Isn't that interesting? Any comments from your side?
It is
Any comments?
interesting.
Who's that speaking now? Koliswa.
Koliswa, yes.
Why are you saying it's interesting, Koliswa?
I didn't mention that most of the messages that we send, it's non-verbal and it's 65%, because I thought most of the time we are talking, so the message should be sent by speaking or by talking to,
yes.
yeah.
But now you see it's vice versa, because most of what you send out is via non-verbal channels.
Non-verbal.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, the way you walk, the way your eyes roll, the way you hold your
Facial
hands behind your back,
expression and all that.
facial expressions, all of that. Okay. Any other comments? Thank you, Koliswa. Any other comments? Any other comments?
I was gonna say it also shows the power of visual stimulation, or like how people are stimulated. So you should, as a lawyer, maybe always be conscious what, even if you're walking in the courtroom and you like got an old bag, you're not looking. It has an impression on everyone around you. So it's
Of course it
it's
does.
65%. Yes, if it's 65% non-verbal, so that means like what the eyes are doing sometimes are much better. I mean, are much more effective than what
Yes.
the mouth is doing.
Okay. Let me give you this example quickly. What impression is your client going to have? Let's say it's the first day of trial and you meet your client in front of the High Court. Okay. Let's say the one lawyer comes to High Court and he or she drives up in a Toyota Taz. Okay. The first lawyer comes driving up in a Toyota Taz. The second lawyer in a clean, shining black Mercedes C-Class. What is the non-verbal communication going to say? Tell me quickly.
The Mercedes guy is gonna win.
The Mercedes guy is going to win. So it's all about perception. Okay? Perception, persuasion, attitude. Okay? And that is what non-verbal communication, that's the value of it to a lawyer. Okay, students? So next week, when... Yes, who's that?
It's Ben here.
Ben.
Yeah,
Okay.
isn't it also a risk of going the other way, where if you maybe too much on the other side, you don't seem like if you got an expensive car, expensive shoes, and then your client now starts to think, this lawyer's perhaps overcharging me or something here because he's not maybe
Ben,
not yes.
Ben, I'm going to have to disagree with you. And listen to me carefully. Switch off your mic.
Okay.
You need to be mindful that this is how South Africans are conditioned. Okay? Please think about what I'm saying now. South Africans are conditioned the following way. And they are conditioned that the more expensive a product or a service is, the more superior it is. Okay? We are conditioned that our suits must be expensive, our sneakers must be expensive. Only if it's expensive, it's quality and it can be trusted and people will say you look good in it, or whatever the case may be. That is the same with legal services. The more expensive the lawyer or the more expensive the advocate, the more trusted it is. That is just the way of the world. Okay? You got that, Ben? Ben? Does it answer your question? Okay, Ben says he's got it. Okay. So, what I want you to do, students, okay, I'm concerned about the following. No one has sent a request for me for individual sessions, okay? So it either tells me you know your work, you don't need any additional assistance, or you are scared of me. So I don't know what it is. So what I'm saying is I'm available for individual sessions. You need to access me through Adele and them at UNISA. Okay, so what I want is, what I said to students last night is, from today onwards, I started printing and I've started making comments on the case summaries and all the other work you've sent me. Okay, so you have to give me until next week because I will make my comments on there and I'm going to scan and email it back to you. Okay, so what I need you to do is just continue with the reading and be prepared to interact with me next week. I've enjoyed the session today because there's been some interaction, and yes, let us continue with that. If there's nothing else, I am going to log off, and then there's one student, Perez. I want you to send me an email so we can maybe hook up for coffee or something. So I'll put my email address in the chat function and Perez will communicate with me via email. Are there any other questions for me, students? If there's no questions, we will log off for tonight and then I will communicate with most of you on Saturday when we have PVL 1501. That's the law of persons. Okay. Adele, are you there? Okay, if Adele is not there, the two of us will communicate on another platform. Students, you have a good evening, study well, and we will chat to each other next week.
Hi, Owen.
Yes.
Adele
Kumalo.
Sindima. Hi.
Is this Kumalo?
Yes. How are you?
How are you, Kumalo? Nice chatting
Good,
to you.
thanks.
I just see you typing things in and uploading stuff.
I
We never
didn't want to
actually chat.
disturb you.
Listen, the first thing I want to say is thanks for all the support you provide. Without you guys, the sessions won't be as successful as they are. So thank you for that.
Same goes for you, Owen.
Okay.
Adele is just busy with Portia.
Okay.
There was a problem there, so I'm sure you'll chat to her later. She
Okay.
can't speak
Okay.
to you now.